Ba-dum. Ba-da-dum. Bum 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 ba-dum. Ba-da-dum. Welcome back to Everyday Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Everyday Movie Ever. Today I'm going to be talking about Eternals. Eternals is a 2021 theatrical release about a group of Eternal heroes who are sent to Earth to protect humanity from deviants until they learn the truth about Celestials. It is directed by Chloe Zhao, cinematography by Ben Davis, editing by Dylan Tichenor and Craig Wood, music by Ramin Djawadi, and it's written by Chloe Zhao and Patrick Burleigh and Ryan and Kaz Firpo. The film stars Gemma Chan as Cersei, Richard Madden as Icarus, Angelina Jolie as Athena, Salma Hayek as Ajak, Kit Harington as Dane, Kumail Nanjiani as Kingu, Leah McHugh as Sprite, Brian Tyree Henry as Fastus, Lauren Ridloff as Makari, Barry Keoghan as Dreg, and Dong-seok as Gilgamesh. In 2015, Marvel Television was wanting to work on an existing Marvel IP, but they ended up not moving forward with John Ridley. In 2018, Feige said that they were hoping to adapt the Eternals because they thought it was interesting and it'd be fun to make them kind of like the source of the ancient myths and lore in the MCU. Later 2018, in August, final directors were in the running. Zhao was determined to pitch her take and really show what she could do with the world building, and Feige said she gave a presentation that was fascinating and reamed with visuals, and then she was hired in September. Zhao said it was an amalgamation of the comics, the 2006 run, the previous MCU projects, science fiction, fantasy films, and manga. Marvel was excited for an ensemble film that wasn't a crossover, that had all new characters as sort of a breath of fresh air. Zhao wrote with Patrick Burleigh as well as the help from the Firpos, and then Jolie was cast in 2019, and then later Richard Madden, and so the whole cast was announced at Comic-Con in 2019. They filmed in England at Pinewood Studios for a good chunk of it, and then on location for another good chunk of it. Gemma Chan didn't join the cast until filming had already began. Marvel had said, especially Feige had said, after Gemma Chan played Minerva, which most of you might have caught on, that Gemma Chan has been in previous Marvel films. After she was Minerva, a lot of Marvel was like, we'd like to utilize Gemma Chan a lot more than just Minerva, because Minerva came and went really quickly, obviously. They did not expect Gemma Chan to be utilized with Marvel so soon, but they went with it because she was a great choice for Cersei. So then Gemma Chan joined. They filmed in the Canary Islands in November 2018. Gemma did say that filming this movie was a completely different experience than Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel was a lot of blue screens because there's a lot of space and other planets. And this was a lot more location shoots because it took place on Earth, which is really exciting. It did wrap in February 2020. In the nick of time, you could say. Scanline VFX, Industrial Light and Magic, Luma Pictures, Rise, and Weta Digital all did the VFX. The release date ended up getting moved to 2021 because of the big C, not cancer, COVID. Zhao typically liked to edit her own films, but she was in high demand during award season, so she didn't even actually touch the rough edit. It took $236.2 million to make, and it made $402.1 million in the box office. It does have a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes consensus, an ambitious superhero epic that soars as often as it strains. Eternals takes the MCU in intriguing and occasionally confounding new directions. There is some censorship that happened. It was not released in China because of Chloe Zhao's relationship with China, and then it was not released in a lot of other countries because of Fastus's relationship with his husband or boyfriend. They didn't clearly say the title, but I'm assuming husband. In 2024, Feige said there was no plans for a sequel to it at this time, and in 2025, Kumail Nanjiani said he was shattered by the poor reception of this film. This looked great. I got no complaints about the look of this. There were multiple shots that were stunning. Otherwise, the rest of it looks about exactly what you'd expect from a Marvel movie. So this movie is long, and this I think is one of the biggest complaints about the movie, is how long it is, because it's like 2 hours and 40 some minutes. It's almost 3 hours, which is Avengers Endgame length. So I think a lot of people found it ridiculous that this movie is so long. When you're handling a cast this big and a world building story this big, it makes sense that it's this long. I didn't have any moments where I was particularly bored, so to say. But for me, there was a lot of stuff that felt like it was set up and then didn't pay off. And that is kind of where my complaint lies. That might be more story than edit. But I didn't feel bored ever. So I think that's a testament. I mean, it's a 2 hour and 40-minute movie. So for me to not feel bored ever. But there were definitely moments where I was like, okay, we already did this. So like maybe a little repetitive sometimes. I digress. It takes its time and that's okay because it's not boring, it's interesting. It was a nice, like, change of pace. Music was great. The music that stood out the most to me is when McHugh was going toe-to-toe with Icarus toward the end. That was fantastic. That music stood out by far and away. But it's Ramin. Ramin's not new to Marvel. He also did Game of Thrones' music, and there are obviously Kit Harington and Richard Madden are in this. So that's kind of a fun Game of Thrones reunion, if you will. Otherwise, you know, it's good. It's about what I expected. This had a scroll opening similar to Star Wars instead of a voiceover lore dump, which I thought was super interesting and a fun change of pace. Made it feel a little bit Star Wars-y, made it feel a little bit like old school because they would do that. They just like give you some like, you know, back in ancient time, like on the screen. So cool. I was here for it. I was, you know, I wasn't mad at that at all. What an interesting setup and world. I do think they're getting into an area. Marvel's like getting into an area where it's getting harder and harder to like stretch the believability, right? But this, I mean, it's believable. Like, you know, they do cover the whole like, well, why didn't you help with Thanos? And it's like, we weren't supposed to help with human to human conflict. We're only supposed to help with the deviants. But with how much, like, they stopped the which like, I guess they learned the truth, but like, they stopped the emergence to save humanity. Why wouldn't they have helped stop Thanos? So like, it's a thin argument, right? Like that. But at the same time, they've been alive for thousands of years. So like, they've seen humanity cycle through and overcome it. But like, that's unprecedented. Thanos? Are we kidding? Anyway. I do think this is very interesting. It was really exciting to be learning about like heroes like this where they've been alive this long. I think they played with that, which was cool. It was cool to see them like randomly throughout the history, throughout the movie. I liked that structure a lot. Part of me wishes there was a little bit more with that because I think that's the interesting part. Like, I think the interesting part is they've been there over the course of all of human history, and I just think that is cool. And I wish they kind of leaned into it a little more. They focused a lot on the present day and stopping the emergence and, you know, all of that. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Anyway, the lore is really cool. The build of the team is really cool. The whole introduction of like Mad Weary for Thena. Mad Weary is like a sickness that an Eternal can get where the weight of their memories starts to fracture their mind. And so it can be really confusing for them and all that kind of stuff. We later find out, obviously, that the Eternals, you know, help the planet all the way until the emergence, and then after the emergence, they're taken and their minds are erased. And he keeps all the memories of that cycle to look and learn and cast judgment and see what could change or be better or anything like that, and wipes their minds and sends them to a new planet, starting anew again. And the Mad Weary actually comes from, like, the erasing didn't go so well, and all of a sudden you start to have a bunch of your old memories from all the previous versions of you. So, like, that's really interesting, right? I think that's fascinating. So the emergence, so basically, there's a Celestial, right? I forget his name, Arsham or Arisham or something. And he's like, you know, a god. He's their god. And Ajax, Salma Hayek, is their sector of Eternals leader. There's like 9 or 10 of them. And they are sent to Earth to protect humanity from deviants back in like BC times, right? Like 500 BC or something. And from 500 BC all the way to 2021, present day, they help protect humanity from deviants, which are these creatures. We later learn that those creatures were specifically created by Harington to get rid of non-intelligent life on the planet to help intelligent life come along, but then the deviants started to evolve as well and started attacking humans, so he had to send the Eternals to stop the deviants from killing intelligent life, because intelligent life helps bring the planet to a certain state where a celestial can be born from the core. So he like planted a seed in the planet that it will be another celestial. And so basically the emergence is when the celestial is ready to be born, and it destroys the whole planet because the celestial is bigger than the planet, is coming out from the center of the planet, which makes the planet explode and die, and everyone on it die. And so the Eternals themselves, besides Salma Hayek's character Ajak, doesn't know that that's what it's for. They just know they're there to protect humanity from deviants, and they've been there thousands of years and don't understand why they haven't been told that they're done and they can go home. And then Thanos, obviously the snap took half of the population away, which delayed the emergence is what they said, and then it comes back. Anyway, I digress. Basically, Salma Hayek's character Ajak has fallen in love with humanity, even though she's helped Harington for millions of years. Sorry if I'm saying the Celestial's name wrong. I don't, whatever. For millions of years, right? And says humanity is different, they deserve to live, like, it's, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so she wants to stop the emergence. Icarus, who's, like, Superman, but not, but, like, has laser vision and can fly. He is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We work and are devoted to Harington, or whatever his name is. I'm not letting you do that. And so he takes Ajak to a bunch of deviants that he has rediscovered coming from the ice and has them kill her, and the deviants are starting to evolve that they're able to absorb the Eternals' powers, which is crazy. And so then Salma Hayek is dead, and so then deviants start attacking again for the first time in thousands of years. So then Cersei and all of them are like, what the heck? And they find Ajak back at her house in Alaska, and Ajak chose Cersei to lead the Eternals, and so she is like, yo, we need to stop the deviants, we need to figure out what's going on. But then, because she has overtaken whatever Ajak had, the little orb that helps her talk to Harington, she gets to talk to Harington, and Harington tells her the truth, that it's like, yo, the emergence is coming. And Cersei's like, the frick is the emergence? And he's like, well, I planted a seed in this planet billions of years ago, and now he's ready to come out, so all of Earth needs to die. And Cersei's like, huh? Because Cersei fell in love with humans the moment they landed on the planet to help them. And so Cersei's like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. And then Icarus is like, oh, but we are, and I'll kill every single one of you if I have to, and I hate to do that because I love you all so much, because we've been family basically for thousands of years. And then, obviously, everything happens. So I just think it's such an interesting movie, but I do think there's some drop balls. Like, Cersei being able to turn a deviant into a tree, never really touched on again. Like, the only thing, like, they're like, oh, really? What the heck? And then she's able to turn the celestial into stone or whatever it is, right? And, like, that doesn't feel like... I feel like it should have explored that more. Like, it was a big deal she was able to turn a deviant into a tree. Why is she able to do that? What has changed in her that she's able to do that? And then she's able to turn the celestial into stone, my guy? That's crazy, okay? And then, Icarus not being able to kill her, my heart, so sweet. But at the same time, they should have put a trigger warning at the beginning of this movie, because he flies into the sun as, like, penance, and that kills him, obviously. And then, I don't know, dude, like, it's all over the place, but it's so interesting, and I'm just like, I'm so intrigued by them. I would love to see more of them. I would love to see what comes, because it ends on a cliffhanger. It ends with Ariksham, like, taking the ones that are still on Earth and saying, you've decided this planet is worthy enough to live. You've stopped the Celestial being born. I have to take your memories and review them and serve judgment or whatever. And so he takes them. And so Makari and Dreg, who left to go find other Eternals to tell them the truth, or like, yo, they haven't responded, we have to head back to Earth. And then it also ends on a cliffhanger with Kit Harington's character being the Black Knight. And so, like, there's huge setups and cliffhangers in this movie that I would love to have answered. And of course, it's like, we don't think so. What do you mean you don't think so? So, it's a good movie. The conversation between Athena and Cersei gave me goosebumps. That was really powerful and beautiful. It's very, like, fun to see the history. I think they could really play with that going forward. It has flaws, for sure, but is this the worst Marvel movie? No! Not even by a long shot. My favorite part might be Cersei turning the Deviant into a tree, because that felt like a really big and interesting moment, and then nothing, like, super comes from that other than her being able to turn the Celestial into, like, rock, which is interesting, but I digress. My least favorite part? Tough. Probably a lot of my unanswered questions. Maybe Icarus unaliving himself to the sun. I feel like something interesting could have happened with him going forward, but what do I know? Recommend? Sure. Watch again? I think I would. This was pretty interesting. I just want to say that I think this is another example why Marvel is losing people, because I don't know what changed between, like, the Thanos era and this era, but during the Thanos era, they didn't give up on movies, right? Like, Iron Man 1, fantastic. Everybody loved Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2, people hate Iron Man 2. Like, people think Iron Man 2 is garbage, but it got in Iron Man 3, and he was in Avengers. And then Thor, fine. Thor 2, widely agreed upon as one of the worst Marvel movies ever made. But he still got Thor 3, and Thor 3 is widely agreed upon one of the best Marvel movies ever made. So I don't understand where this whole, like, making a movie and then when it's not performing well, abandoning it. Stick to your guns, because the next one might be better. What do you mean? Like, that's how you get fans. Like, I don't... How many have we had? Okay, so we had Black Widow, but obviously that was like a mid-quel, right? Like, that was an after-the-fact little something. And then we had Loki, like, the show. We have WandaVision, the show. We got Falcon and Winter Soldier, the show. You got Hawkeye, the show. Moon Knight, the show. What else? She-Hulk. There's like 5 million shows, right? That's all great. Dandy. Captain Marvel, 1 movie. Shang-Chi, 1 movie. Eternals, 1 movie. There's been more, right? There's definitely been more that have been 1 movie. Then you get Captain America Brave New World, which is the first reference to this movie in the MCU since this movie came out, which is insane, by the way, because nobody's talking about the giant celestial godlike creature that was about to come out of the center of the earth that's now in the, like, Indian Ocean or whatever the frick. And like, no one talks about, like, that giant crazy celestial that appeared in the sky that one day. Like, what do you mean, dude? And then in Brave New World, the only thing is mentioned is like, oh yeah, there's this big, like, thing that appeared in the Indian Ocean. It's full of adamantium. Like, what? What do you mean? So I just... So I'm just a little bit... This is really, like, the fact that I enjoyed this movie, I love Shang-Chi, and that I enjoyed this one. I had not seen this one. This is one of the ones this is right around where I started to be like, I'm not watching these anymore. Because, like, I'm getting mad at Marvel for not making it movie only. They had to include the shows. For not making it movie only. And then they're, like, abandoning their shit, right? So, like, this movie came out in 2021. Just like Shang-Chi did. By the time Avengers Doomsday comes out next year, there would have been 2 more sequels if they were following the same timeline as Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. But they're not. Which is really frustrating, because it's like, you can't just make these and abandon them. People are gonna be like, what do you mean? Like, We have questions. Like, what do you, oh my god. And so then it makes fans frustrated, and it makes fans now want to digest the new stuff because they have so much questions about the old stuff. Like myself. I'm sitting over here like, Shang-Chi's a great and interesting hero. That was a really fun movie. I would love to see more of that. It's been 5 years. Eternals. This was fascinating, and it ends on a freaking cliffhanger. What do you mean we're never going to get answers to that? What do you mean it's never going to tie into what you were planning on doing? Now you're bringing back Captain America and Thor, and stop. Stop it. People don't want the old heroes, they just want you to write good stuff. I mean, some people probably want the old heroes, but like, I'm good. I'm fine without Captain America. I like Anthony Mackie's Captain America. I've got no problem with Sam Wilson being Captain America, but apparently a lot of people do. Thunderbolts was excellent. I thought Thunderbolts was a really good movie, but anyway, I'm having a little crash out here about this. I'm just frustrated because this is interesting, but because it didn't perform well, they're not doing a sequel. Thor 2 is notoriously one of the worst Marvel movies, and then they made Thor 3, which is, Ragnarok is like literally a good amount of the population of fans' favorite Marvel movie. What do you mean you just give up because of that? Say, okay, they didn't like this, let's try to hone it for the next one. What do you... Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for Eternals. My final rating's gonna be 7... Dang, what should I do? 7... I kind of want to do Celestials. Let's give it an Iron Giant vibe. 7 Celestials out of 10. Our total movie count is. Parent Testimony card count is the same. If you want to keep up with what movie I'm watching when, follow me on all socials to find out movie I'm watching when, and check out my website. It's cool. Please, thank you so much. I put up videos every Monday, Friday, and sometimes Wednesday. Join Patreon. I got a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early. Tiers with that, daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, etc. Go check it out. It's cool. It's fun. Buy merch. Merch is great, merch is great. Until next time, comment, like, subscribe, and I'm not in charge of your life. You are, so you, and don't be irksome about it, I suppose. Me encantó.